about the parameters and kind of the reporting around financials. But a big focus obviously on the member, and on technology. Here's your little bit of an eye chart, but this will give you the 2018 and the 2019 budget. We always try and be above 10.5% capital, and we always work to maintain that. What you'll notice coming into this is, with the wonkiness going on in the markets, margins are just squeezing. You typically would see overnight rates, then you'd see 2-year rates, 5-year rates, 10-year rates on up, and that's called the yield curve. Typically that goes like this. Well, about March of last year, it started going like this and being really, one of my favorite words, wonky. We think that's going to continue this year, and it has. So we're budgeting smaller margins. What this shows is, compared to budget, we did really good at taking advantage of those. Produced record net income in a time of economic uncertainty. And we did that while keeping our rates top 3 in all loan and deposit tiers. But I can tell you this, to be able to keep our rates in the top 3, and this is Chase Manhattan. I mean, big banks, Cap 1, large credit unions and us, all our loan and deposit rates were in top 3 across all tiers, and we produced that kind of net income. We should all be really, really proud of that. And that took a marketing effort, that took the product management, the treasury, delivering to the branches, through the branches, et cetera. So really, really good. And I can't emphasize enough, this sounds really bland. We achieved this despite significant market volatility. It should be, oh my God, we achieved that despite significant market volatility. It was so fun to walk into board meetings and talk about how well you guys knocked it out of the park. So the other thing we'll look at from 2018 results, member satisfaction. We also had a group that went through top to bottom. We try and do this continuously. We also take a step back and try and do it. What do we need to look at? Can we be more financially efficient? And we looked at everything from the fees that we pay auto dealers to automated electronic statements versus mailing statements, ATM locations. On an annualized basis, that group went through. Jared took the ball and led a group through that. $2 million a year we saved on that. What that points out to me is when we, as Bellco, focus on something, you guys deliver. And that gives us a lot of confidence as we go into things. And then we'll take that same passion and take that into that MX team. But also ask, why don't we set, it came up in the thing, 5-year goals. The main reason we don't is we are not a market leader. We are not Amazon or Starbucks or anything. We just don't have the scale to do it. So we think it imprudent to say I'm going to be $7 billion in 7 years. I'll just use that as an example. We think it more appropriate to take care of our members' financial needs and our employees in a very safe and sound manner. We're going to take care of our members, and we're going to grow within sound parameters. But with that, we think we can probably do a better job of communicating some of that, and you'll see that process throughout the year.
We are not a market leader. We don't make the market. We're too small to do that. So we are at the mercy, if you will, of the economy. Everything that affects our business is all about the economy. We have no control over it. Other people, some people have a little more control over it than we do. We don't have any control over it. So we are reactive, and we are reactive to what it gives us. One, unemployment. We care about employment because we are a consumer financial institution. People have jobs, and yes, people have jobs. People have jobs at a record level. A whole lot of people are working. They're not only working, but wages are going up. That means people have more money to spend. So we're going to continue to see people have jobs. What does that mean? That means they're buying houses, they're buying cars, they're spending money, they're saving money. That's an important point. And they're able to generate more business for their local communities. Number two, interest rates. We have to react to interest rates. What are they doing? What do we see them doing? Where's it going? And we saw a significant change in 2018 with a lot of upward movement in interest rates. And not only did we see the movement, but we saw some inversion where long-term rates and short-term rates basically kind of balanced out. And we live on the margin. We make the margin, we live on it. That's why we stay 100% loaned out. That's key to our business strategy, is to stay loaned out so that we create that margin. The margin has been squeezing for a number of reasons, but this interest rate inversion is causing us issues where we have not been able to raise loan rates the way you would think when rates are going up the way they are, but deposit rates are going up, and we are paying a lot more on deposits, a lot more on borrowings than we were a year and a half ago. There's another issue that's a bit of a micro phenomenon to the financial institution business, which is we are seeing, and everything I read and look at, is a projection that all financial institutions are getting back into fighting for consumer deposits. So now we are being, not only is the economy an issue, that interest rate spread, but now we have the competition hitting us in a way that we've got to pay more. So you see the CD spreads, you see that we're advertising higher level CDs, and we're seeing now all the other local credit unions are kind of jumping in too and coming out with these specials and raising deposit rates. So competition. That's what some of you, those of you that have been here longer, know that if I ever ask what bothers people, what concerns people, John Rivera will always stand up and say, competition. It's all about the competition. We got to beat the competition, and he's absolutely right. So it's all about competition, but it's not just the big banks. It's the local banks, it's other institutions. Electronic wallets in general are becoming more popular. FinTech is becoming more popular. We think that the role of financial institutions is got to be that we have to be the secure partner behind all that money. We have to be the ones. And that's why we're focusing on some of these digital things that we'll get back to in a second. But FinTech and now we have Amazon. They're going to actually have their own financial products to allow people to interact with them. So now, not only do you get to buy virtually anything you want but from them, but they'll provide the mechanisms to do it. They'll provide the financing. They'll provide the payment mechanisms. So how do we compete? We have to compete in our old-fashioned way. First, we're local. We're local. It means something. It means something that we stay geographically focused on Colorado specifically, most specifically in the Front Range area, and that's where we are focused on continuing to build branches. Keep that local identity, local impact in a way that we can afford it. We can't afford to spread branches all over the state or all over the country, but we can afford a certain level of saturation of branches within a geographic area that we would say is Metro Denver. So we are worried about and how to get that saturation, how to make those locations, and I know we have people work on that a lot more than I do. Digital. So we rolled out Alchemy. Alchemy is and we said it last year, we said it's a first benchline product. We got to get it out there to start the real transition to a commitment to digital. And Alchemy is just that. It's the beginning of that. Now we have to build on it. We have to add more. We have to invest a lot more money in technology to create digital tools that will provide more convenience to members. Now, here's the good news. We already know what we need to work on. We know the future of what we need to do because the banks already did it for us. Okay, so Zelle, what is Zelle? Zelle, we already know that the big banks put a tremendous amount of money in developing. What were they trying to do? Trying to create something, first of all, to beat PayPal, because they were after how do we prevent everybody from doing all their business with PayPal. And the big banks got together and said, let's just open up our network so that we can transfer money between financial institutions, and we can beat the Venmos and the PayPals by doing it in real time and utilize our capabilities to transfer money where everybody can see it moving. What do you see right now that almost every big bank is advertising? Tap to pay, contactless cards. This is the new one, where they don't plug it in anymore. And what happened? The chip cards were, number one, they're really slow. They slowed down the transaction because the chip takes longer. And it turned out that the same technology that you needed is already in the machine. So why do you even need the chip? Why do you need to plug it in when you can just use near field communications and just wave it by the machine? So contactless cards. It's going to be big. People don't want to put the card in the machine anymore. So John Ruby, what are we doing about that?
We are working to roll out this year contactless cards on our credit cards. Yeah.
Contactless. So last year, I think it was roughly 17% of transactions were contactless. Last year being, 2017. 2018, it was up to 25%. This year, expected to be 40% of all transactions will be contactless. Right now, we don't compete well in a digital environment. Dan referred to it as we don't compete well in service. He's not talking about the frontline employees. He's talking about the overall member experience, and predominantly because our digital offering is not competitive with the major banks. So we're going to get there. And we're going to get there using all of our partners. We're going to get there by investing some money. And we think that that's really important. So branches, local, digital, and utilizing partners, we're going to improve all of those things and get to it. Now, so those of you that are new to hearing me, you haven't heard me talk about the 4 things that people use to choose a financial institution before. All of what we've just been talking about is the first one, which is convenience. And that's all we're going to talk about today. We're not going to get into the other ones too, well, a little bit. Convenience, convenience, convenience. People pick their financial institution first and foremost on convenience. Convenience used to mean, where's the closest branch? Convenience now means, how good is your digital offering? How convenient are you? And that's where we have to compete. So that's what we spent most of our time on today. The other ones are value. We already talked about third highest rate in all of our product offerings. So we're competing on value and rate. We also have to do things like we did the mortgages. We wanted to promote mortgages. We did 0 origination fee. Now we have a much reduced origination fee. So we're competing on rates and fees. We're competing on our rewards program. We've enhanced our rewards program, trying to compete there. And when we look at value, people look at other things like local, like your community involvement, and things that we're doing. They look at being a not-for-profit versus stockholder-owned institution, and all those things that add to the value proposition that we deliver. The third one is service. All I'll say about service is, because we already talked about it, service is 2 parts. It's what the company does in the way of the tools we provide and those convenience factors. That includes digital. What do we provide? And then the second one is frontline staff. We know that physical transactions, the deposits, withdrawals, those types of things are going down. People don't have as many checks in their hands as they used to. They don't need that kind of activity. What they do need is advice. How do I do this best for me? How do I use these tools that everybody's rolling out? How do I get paid through my debit card? How do I transact things in a way to avoid fees? So advice. The frontline staff's going to have to get better at providing advice and less focus on transaction processing. And that means 2 things. Training, thanks Dee, and it means tools, and it means retention. We've got to keep them, because the only way that they're going to continue to be able to be trusted advisors with our members is we have to keep the same people in place. So service, and then finally security, which is also could be talked about as trust. There's 2 parts of security, which is the financial institution is going to be here, safety and soundness. Okay, we made a record amount of money, we got great capital, that's not a problem. Second part is trust. Trust issue is highly, in my mind, and what I'm seeing, is highly predicated on us reducing some of this fraud. It continues with identity theft, identity takeover, data breaches from companies like Equifax and all the other, Marriott and everybody else that's had data breaches. So how we protect our members is going to become strategically important. So as we look at this year, the outcome, Dan showed you what we're projecting. There are some variables. We don't have crystal balls. We're not sure what interest rates are going to do. We don't know what the economy is going to do. We don't know what the Chinese are going to do or anything else that could affect how business is done in the U.S. But what we can do is make sure that we compete in a local environment where we raise our reputational level. We show the community what kind of community player we are. We're involved. We stay local. We stay committed to our members, and we train them. We give advice, and we show people how to, what were the word? By the way, a lot of people, I heard well-being. We actually had a debate over the whole word in that higher cause, and we chose wealth instead of well-being, because we want people to know we're trying to help them build their wealth, and that is the goal. If we can help them feel like we, Bellco, we, the people at Bellco, are contributing to their wealth building, then we got them, and we win.